Welcome to the Tuesday, July 14th, 2026 meeting of the Lewis and Clark County Commission. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take a minute to introduce everyone on this end of the room. Starting over here with Jenny Chambers, our Director of Public Works and Planning. Then Brandy Grandy is our Recording Secretary, who gets all of our minutes and everything up on the website as soon as possible after the meeting. Commissioner Andy Hunthausen to my left, Commissioner Candace Payne to my right. I'm Commissioner Tom Rolfe, Chair of the Commission this year. Over here, we've got Nico Hash and TJ Murphy from the County Attorney's Office. Apparently they feel like it takes two attorneys to keep three commissioners under control. And Roger Baltz, our Chief Administrative Officer. We'd ask that you sign up at the sign-up sheet on the other side of the bar, and please leave us contact information so that we can get a hold of you if we need to after the meeting. There's also an agenda, a copy of an agenda over there for you to pick up if you'd like. We have no consent action items this morning, but let's go directly into action items. First is a grant application to the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Community-Oriented Police Services, or COPS. Sheriff.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, for the record, my name is Leo Dutton, D-U-T-T-O-N, Sheriff-Coroner, Fire Warden, and whatever else I get given. This is the application as you read. This was a result of a appropriations from Senator Downing, and it's for communications equipment. For the description, I'll read what was on the grant, if that's helpful. So the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office will utilize this funding to expand and improve our communication system, especially in areas we currently have no communications at all. We will purchase the Motorola APX Next handheld radios. These have Wi-Fi capability and cellular cards installed in them. When there's no signal on the primary radio system, they will utilize cellular or Wi-Fi signal to create a path to the radio system. Motorola Smart Connect flashes for current radios. This will allow some current mobile radios to use a Wi-Fi signal, which is already available in our patrol vehicles. Motorola Man-Pack repeater, which will allow us to deploy a portable repeater in terrain where there is no radio signal. This is a compact and deployable anywhere in the county, even if it must be flown to the top of the mountain. I'm your guy for that. If it has a self-contained battery and solar charger to keep it sustainable. Starlink Minis, which will be permanently mounted on specific vehicles, which are assigned to the north end of the county where communications are troublesome. These will create Wi-Fi connections via satellite, which will allow radios to connect to the primary radio server. Motorola APX 8500 mobile radios replace current radios which are not Wi-Fi capable. Again, this will allow Wi-Fi connections in areas where there is no connectivity. The RM2 Manette radios with the ATAC device and TAC server will allow us to have 15 specific radios contained in a charger. These radios are separate from the current radio system and usable anywhere in the country. They can track the other radios and display their locations amongst each other. They can also message in addition to voice communication. These radios are encrypted for secure communication for both in voice and text. By combining all these pieces of equipment, there should be minimal, if any, locations that our deputies cannot communicate in. This will vastly improve the ability to perform their jobs and, most importantly, improve their safety. The combined use of this equipment will provide comprehensive communications coverage across the country and county, significantly enhancing operations effectiveness and, most importantly, deputy safety. That's a description, Mr. Chair.
It's my, if it sounds like from this that this will help with the problem that was recently discussed up in the Augusta area, a great deal.
These will help us. These are not going to go to the ambulance. They could flash, but this money will go to replace our radios. We're working on a different system for the Augusta. As I said, in Augusta, they do have coverage. It's just their programs of their radios have been difficult, but that's been redone. And we have other plans on Augusta for the trunking system. So on the information before you, this was a community project funding, congressional direct spending through, I said that, Troy Downing office, an amount of $500,000 with no match required. And it uses a combination of radio signals, satellite equipment, and equipment that will improve communication systems throughout the county. So I do want to thank the congressman for picking this up and carrying it forward successfully. So we look forward to the implementation.
All right, that sounds good that our congressional offices are trying to help us out a little bit.
Yes.
Is a way we can expand our capabilities without going back to the property taxpayers.
Correct.
All right. Any other questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Hunt.
Sheriff Dutton, it's a great opportunity. It's awesome. I'm just wondering about one of the things I'm sure that you've studied in this, or your people have, is the longevity of these and the replacement costs and the upkeep, that kind of thing. I'm sure it's all part of the equation here, but maybe just speak to that a little bit.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Hunthausen, yes, it is. We have to replace a lot of our APX 7500s anyway. That's a brand. What Motorola, the nice part about it, they give you the model number that pretty much matches the price, so it's easy to remember. Can't wait till they come out with a 9500. I can wait. Anyway, we have to replace those radios because Motorola has a service plan of approximately 5 years. You can keep them after that, but after that, they quit. So we have budget to replace the radios that we have. We'll get approximately 35 radios, and we have budget to begin replacing the ones that we're getting. So the type of new radios that we'll be getting will match what we're getting now.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, that was one of the points, that they have a lifespan, and
Yes.
technology changes, and the support kind of goes away after a while. So
Much like the repeater in Augusta.
kind of like your computer too on your
Yeah.
desk. It's there. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Sheriff.
Any other questions from the commission? Seeing none, do we have any public comment on this? Any public comment? See no public comment. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the grant application to the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, as presented by Sheriff-Coroner Dutton.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the commission? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the grant application to the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, COPS, as explained by Sheriff-Coroner Dutton, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda is a funding commitment letter to the Montana Historic Preservation Grant Program.
Good morning, Chair Rolfe, Commissioners. My name is Audra Zacherl, Assistant Director of Public Works. Before you this morning is a letter committing $695,853 in county funds to the courthouse elevator replacement project. In June 2025, Lewis and Clark County received notice from Governor Gianforte of a Montana Historic Preservation Grant Award in the amount of $300,000. Since that time, Public Works staff have been diligently working towards meeting startup requirements that precede receiving the grant award agreement. This letter is one of the final steps in reaching grant startup. This project is budgeted in the fiscal year 27 Buildings Capital Improvement Fund. Once startup has been reached, an agreement will come before you for final consideration of this almost $1 million project. Staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners authorize the submittal of the firm commitment letter to the Montana Historic Preservation Program for $695,853 in order to receive a grant in the amount of $300,000.
All right. Are there any questions from the commission? It appears we've been setting some money aside for this as part of the to eventually work on the elevator there.
Thank you, Chair Rolfe. That is correct. We've been setting funds aside for quite a few years. We have $1 million saved in our capital improvement plan. We have just completed an RFP process, and a notice of intent to award has been posted for a contractor to perform this project.
All right. So we'll get a little help, about a third of the cost from the state program to help towards refurbishing or replacing the elevators in that old historic building that I think the first legislature or for the state met there, didn't they?
I can't answer that question, but I do know the building has quite a history.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Commissioner Payne.
Audra, by using this grant, the integrity of the historic nature of that building will be substantiated rather than making it look like it was done in 2026. Is there a historic person overseeing this?
Thank you for that question, Chair Rolfe, Commissioners. Yes and no. I mean, it's a historic building, so we would absolutely try to keep the character of the building regardless of where the funds are coming from. That's a portion of being a historic building, is going through SHPO with the state of Montana. This being an elevator project, there's just a couple small elements that we have to retain for historical purposes. The elevator is going to go in the existing shaft, so there's not going to be a lot of impact to the structure or the character of the building for this project.
Thank you, Audra. No more.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hunthausen.
Zacherl, you alluded to this, but just in case people are wondering when they might see the action happening,
Sure.
or maybe our attorneys that are passing through the building, when they might have to use the stairs rather than the elevator.
Oh, that was mean. That's mean.
Just giving them a hard time.
Thank you for that question. The schedule, next steps would be negotiating the contract with the contractor. That could take up to 2 months. We're looking at a 12 to 18-month project with all different phases, the design and then construction. The elevator, with that year and a half, it's not going to be shut down that whole period of time. They anticipate up to a 90-day period where the elevator would be shut down, but they're fully prepared to be performing the construction in an occupied building. So it will be happening at the same time that operations take place.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Other question? Commissioner Payne.
Audra, the elevator that I'm thinking about is the one, and I believe it's how they transport prisoners from the detention center up to the courtrooms for their hearings. Or is there another elevator that does that?
There is just one elevator in the courthouse building.
Okay, so the people who are appearing up 3 flights of stairs, or is it 4 from the detention center?
The detention center brings their inmates in from the that tunnel, and yes, they would probably typically bring them up the elevator. During the downtime, they will have to bring them up the stairway.
Okay, thank you.
If they don't come out on the same floor. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the commission? Any other questions? Is there any public comment Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the funding commitment letter to the Montana Historic Preservation Grant Program as presented by Audra Zacherl.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion from the commission? Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the funding commitment letter to the Montana Historic Preservation Grant Program as explained by Audra Zacherl, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda is a task order R100 between Lewis and Clark County and Dowell.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. For the record, I'm Dan Carlin, County Engineer. A portion of Hauser Dam Road slid downslope during the weekend of June 13th of 2026. County road crews established appropriate temporary traffic control at the site. At a follow-up site visit, it was determined that geotechnical expertise would be required in order to provide a design to stabilize the stacked rock section of roadway that slid. A second section of stacked rock embankment was also identified for evaluation. For you today is task order number R100 for Dowell to complete an alternatives evaluation for the Hauser Dam Road slide repair. Dowell was selected for geotechnical specific projects through the 2025 road on-call solicitation process. The scope of work for the project includes georeferenced topographical survey, geophysics data collection, 2 geotechnical borings, a geotechnical data report, an alternatives evaluation, analysis, cost estimates, stakeholders review meeting, and a final alternatives evaluation report. The task order is for time and materials not to exceed $49,964, and work shall be completed by October 31st of 2026. The work will be funded from the fiscal year 27 Public Works Road Infrastructure budget. Staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve task order number R100 with Dowell in the amount of $49,964 with an end date of October 31st, 2026, and authorize the chair to sign. And I can answer questions you may have.
Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Payne.
I just wanted to make sure we've got an understanding on the end date in our written materials here. It says the end date of October 31st, 2027. And I think you said 2026. Which is it?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Payne, that's a typo on my part. That's 2026.
It is 2026. So they're going to have to move right along. Thank you. I think we need to make sure that's on the record correctly.
All right. Any other questions? Is there any public comment? Any public comment on this matter? Seeing no public comment, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve task order R100 between Lewis and Clark County and Dowell as presented by Mr. Carlin.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the task order R100 between Lewis and Clark County and Dowell as explained by Dan Carlin. Any further discussion? There being none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving that task order, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda is a grant award to Lewis and Clark Public Health from the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission. I'm Sarah Sandow. I'm the grant specialist at Lewis and Clark Public Health, as well as the Emergency Preparedness Coordinator. Today, I have before you a grant award from the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services for their Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant in the amount of $111,541 for helping enhance local capacity to respond to public health emergencies. The grant period would be July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. Public Health has received this task order for many years, and it is in our fiscal year budget. The Purpose of this task order is to strengthen and enhance local public health capacity to respond to events that impact public health through planning, assessment, and the development of preparedness and response activities. The goal is to increase public health's ability to prepare for, respond to, and recover from health threats while supporting activities that promote safer and more resilient communities. We work closely with the county emergency service, disaster emergency services. They are really important in also planning and responding. This is mostly planning and for public health specifically. So, for example, in a wildfire, your county emergency services, they're talking to the firefighters, they're seeing if a shelter is needed. We're talking about what is the air quality. If there is a shelter, is there clean water? Is there clean sanitation? So that's kind of our role versus the county's role. We are a close partner. Some of the tasks in this year's task order are ensuring our emergency management plans are updated and approved by the Board of Health, ensuring community entities have updated emergency testing for water and chemical hazards, participating in training activities, and increasing training on emergency communications. As part of this grant, we will conduct 2 training exercises to practice our emergency response plans. It is really important that these plans don't sit on a shelf until an emergency occurs. By practicing our response, we can ensure that staff understand their roles, we can act swiftly, and are better prepared to respond when an emergency does happen. We refer to these training events as public health emergency preparedness exercises. The first exercise will happen in August in partnership with St. Peter's Health, and we will test our response to a mass chemical exposure event. The second exercise will be conducted by the state and will test our response to a large-scale foodborne illness outbreak. We will involve community partners and key stakeholders in both exercises to help ensure our community is prepared to respond effectively. Staff recommends approval, and I'm here for questions.
Any questions from the commission? This is a project trying to keep everybody on their toes and know what to do if when an emergency does happen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, the goal is that we don't have emergencies, but if they do, we want to make sure that our stakeholders and our partners and ourselves were ready to respond as organizations and as individuals. We definitely try to promote individual safety, neighborhood safety. As you remember, the neighborhood preparedness project we worked on. How do we prepare as a community if an emergency happens? And honestly, when an emergency happens.
Is there any staff involved, staff time involved in this that would take up some of that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. It's half of my position.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Any other questions from the commission? Pardon me? Okay. All right.
Well explained.
All right. Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the grant award to Lewis and Clark Public Health from the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services as explained by Ms. Sandow.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the grant award to Lewis and Clark Public Health from the Montana Department of Health and Human Services. Is there any questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair.
Any more comment?
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes.
Thank you. Just a comment that how important this is. It is, I mean, when you think about public health and their response to all the things out there, I know I'm comforted to know that somebody's kind of watching out for us in terms of all things that are general public health, foodborne illnesses, a chemical spill. Who's going to respond? How? Somebody have the expertise or know how to do these things. COVID's a good example as well. We have public health that if we had a train wreck or a fire comes into town. I mean, anytime that those things are those main big systems of public interest or utility are compromised, the potential for a public health risk is there. And so somebody being prepared, it's really important. We go through these things so quickly, but I'm just grateful for the work and the preparedness of our teams. So good on you. Makes me feel better. that we're going through this process. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any more discussion from the commission? All right, let's move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the grant award to Lewis and Clark Public Health from the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services, as explained by Sarah Sandow, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda, labor agreement between Lewis and Clark County and the Laborers International Union, Local 1686.
Good morning, Chair Rolfe, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Carrie DeRosier. I'm the Human Resources Director for the county. And before you this morning is the collective bargaining agreement between Lewis and Clark County and the Laborers International Union, Local 1686. Some of the updates and changes to this contract include the contract period, which will run from July 1, 2026 through June 30th of 2028. It also updates the non-discrimination clause to match the state statute language, increase the comp time limit from 40 to 48 hours, gave the designated on-call employee ability to authorize an employee to work overtime to assist with snow removal or other emergency work, updated language in Article 9 regarding longevity payments so that it matches another portion of the contract. It was actually something that should have been done in the contract before. Let's see, it clarified the method in calculating differential pay for hours worked in a higher grade, added language regarding the member's ability to donate sick leave, updated the pay matrix for next fiscal year, and then some other grammatical edits and clarifications throughout. The members have ratified the agreement and staff recommends your approval.
All right, any questions from the commission? Any questions from the commission? Seeing none, is there any public comment? Is there any public comment on this item? I see no public comment. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve the labor agreement between Lewis and Clark County and the Laborers International Union Local 1686 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the labor agreement between Lewis and Clark County and Laborers International Union Local 1686. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Hunthausen.
just another thank you. These agreements don't happen by themselves. They're often complicated and full of detail. So just appreciate the work that you do and your team to negotiate these agreements and to work with our employees and their unions to keep us moving forward. So it just doesn't happen magically. So thank you. It's a lot of work and a lot of detail.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Second that comment. We appreciate your diligence in that. Any other comment? Let's move on to a vote. All those in favor of labor agreement between Lewis and Clark County and the Laborers International Union Local number 1686 as explained by Carrie DeRosier, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. We've arrived at the end of our regularly scheduled agenda, but we always leave opportunity for public comment on any public matter within the jurisdiction of the commission that is not on the agenda that's listed. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Seeing none, we're adjourned.